A couple of years ago, Fronius Germany did a survey. They asked their Solar.web customers for the reasons why they installed a PV system. The top 3 reasons, I guess you can imagine, this was number 1, save costs, number 2, produce my own energy, so be independent of the public grid, and number 3, do something good for the environment. So many of our customers, they have those 3 reasons in mind when they install a PV system. Let's take a moment to visualize their starting position. So most of our customers, they live in a single household house, and in this house we can divide the consumption sectors in 3 sectors. This is the sector electricity. This consists all the typical electrical appliances, for example a TV, a dishwasher, a fridge or a freezer. Sector mobility is obvious as well. This is mostly a car, can also be a bike or a motorbike. And mostly this car is still run by a fossil fueled engine. And sector number 3 is the sector heating. And this sector in heating not only includes room heating, but also water heating. So our customers, they want to be independent, they want to be green, they want to save costs, and they install a PV system. Perfect, we could say, but unfortunately, many of our customers are then not satisfied and they cannot reach the goals they set. Why? Because PV energy can only be used in the sector electricity. Sector mobility and sector heating is run fossil fueled and no PV energy can be used. This means that a lot of the energy goes into the public grid, and then it depends on the feeding in compensation this household gets. And in more and more cases, at least here in Austria, the compensation is 0 or is set very low. Fortunately, Fronius has the answer to this problem, and the answer is called sector integration. So if it is possible to integrate the sector mobility and the sector heating into the PV system, then self-sufficiency rate will increase and most of the energy will not be fed into the public grid but be used by themselves. Fronius is not only an inverter manufacturer but also produces devices that can include those different sectors. And this is the point where we get to today's webinar. A very warm welcome to why Fronius is number 1 in energy management. I will show you today all the possibilities that you have if you install a Fronius inverter and if you're staying in the Fronius world. I will start by showing you the devices that can help in the sector mobility and sector heating. I will also show you the storage solutions that can run with our inverters and the backup solutions that go with those batteries. Also, I want to show you our digital area. I want to show you the load management you can do and the battery management. Load management and battery management is free on board, so whoever buys our inverters can set this management as well. And last but not least, I want to show you Solar.web. All the data from all those different areas is gathered and is visualized in Solar.web. All right, so let's start with the first sector. In the Fronius world, what can you do in the sector heating? I want to introduce you a device that is called ohmpilot. The ohmpilot is a power regulator that can be connected to ohmic loads. What are ohmic loads? Ohmic loads have the characteristic that they can run smoothly with whatever energy they get. This can be, for example, a heating rod or an electric floor mat, or also be an infrared panel. And whatever surplus comes from the roof, the ohmpilot is directing this surplus into these ohmic loads. With the heating rod, for example, hot water can be produced. So the heating rod is put into the water boiler and is heated up with energy surplus. With the infrared panel or the floor mat, rooms can be heated up. So what are the advantages of the Ohm pilot? You can do room heating in transition period, or especially in transition period. So this is perfect for a cellar, for example, or maybe for a garage that is not on room temperature but should be heated as well. The Ohm pilot preserves the primary heating. It runs especially well with an oil heating or a gas heating, because then this fossil fueled heating does not need to run during summer, and all the water preparation is done by the Ohm pilot. But it is also good with a heat pump, because an Ohm pilot can run higher temperatures or can heat up the water to higher temperatures, and it can also make use of small PV surplus. So if there only a couple of kilowatt are coming from the roof, then the Ohm pilot can already heat up the water a little bit at least. The heat pump usually needs more surplus. Key is that the Ohm pilot recognizes the PV surplus that comes from the roof. So it exactly takes whatever surplus is available and is using this surplus for heating up those devices. And this process is quite similar to what you can do in the sector mobility. In the sector mobility, there's not a device called Ohm pilot, but a device called watt pilot. And the watt pilot also gets the information from the inverter how much surplus is available, and directs this amount of surplus not in the water boiler but into the car. So with the watt pilot, an electric vehicle can be charged also with surplus. The watt pilot has several features. I will not go into detail into these features in this webinar. If you're interested, please take a look at our YouTube channel. For now, I want to tell you that it is valuable for PV owners, but also for not PV owners, and it goes together with an app called Solar.web, so the charging procedure can be directed from distance as well. I want to go into detail of one specific feature of the watt pilot that is relevant when using surplus and when you want to increase the self-sufficiency rate. Our watt pilot can automatically switch between 1 and 3 phase charging. How is this useful? You see here on the left hand side, you see in this graphic the yellow area. This is the PV production. And then you see a dark violet area and a light violet area. The dark violet area is the time when the watt pilot is using 3-phase charging, and the light violet area when it is using 1-phase charging. The watt pilot is using a 3-phase charging as long as enough surplus is available. And then if not enough surplus for 3-phase charging is available, it changes to 1-phase charging. Other wall boxes, they have to stop charging when there is not enough energy for 3-phase charging. The watt pilot can continue until almost there is no surplus left. So again, it takes the maximum of surplus away and into the car. This was sector heating and sector mobility, and then on top it is perfect to integrate a battery into the system. A battery has two major advantages. First of all, with a battery you can decouple production from consumption. So the energy that is produced at noon can be used at night as well. And secondly, with a battery you can make use of backup solutions. First things first, there are two batteries that are compatible with our Gen 24 inverters. Those two batteries are the LG Flex and the BYD battery box. What they both have in common is that they are structured in modules. So the more modules are connected with each other, the more capacity the battery has. For using the battery, you need a Gen 24 Plus inverter. And if this inverter is in a power class of 6 to 10 kilowatt, then you can use the backup solutions. Our inverters and the batteries, those two batteries, are a very good match, and this is something that not only we say, but that is also confirmed by HTW Berlin. HTW Berlin is a university in Berlin, and they're doing an energy storage inspection every year. And they are comparing always the packages of inverter plus battery to other competitors, and they are checking for the degree of efficiency. And our inverters, together with the BYD battery box, is every year in top positions. So the Primo, the Gen 24 Primo, together with the BYD battery box, was even #1 in the last energy storage inspection. Our Sumo, together with the BYD, was still top 3. So top 3 regarding degree of efficiency. So with our batteries together, with our inverters together with the batteries we offer, you can a maximum use of sun energy. So every bit of sun is utilized in a maximum way. And as I said, if you have the big inverters together with the battery, you can make use of backup solutions. What are the backup solutions? First of all, the PV point. PV point is integrated as standard in all our Gen 24 inverters. What is the PV point? This is a power socket, a one-phase power socket that can be run during a blackout. A PV point also works without a battery, but probably better with battery. This May, so May 2024, PV Point Comfort will be released. The PV Point Comfort then is a power socket that is supplied with energy 24 hours a day. So also in normal times, and then in the backup mode as well. So it is continuously supplied. This is perfect for cooling devices, for example. With battery, full backup is possible. And with full backup, we mean easy power supply of the entire house. With full backup, you have real 3-phase emergency power. You can run big loads such as an oven, a heat pump, or air conditioning, even when there is no electricity from the grid. These were the hardware solutions, heating, mobility, storage solutions, and now we come to the software solutions. With a Fronius inverter, you have possibilities in load management and in battery management free on board. I want to show you what you can do. First of all, what is load management? So our inverters, they have 4 digital outputs, and so up to 4 loads can be connected with our inverter. And then certain thresholds can be set when those loads shall be activated and when they should be switched off again. For example, it can be set, please, dear inverter, please activate my air conditioning when there is more than 3 kilowatt surplus coming from a roof, and deactivate the air conditioning if surplus is below 1 kilowatt, let's say. And you can do this for up to 4 devices. Mostly those devices are, as I said, an air conditioning, also a pool pump is very common, a heat pump, or maybe also a heating rod. Very common is a heat pump, and this heat pump needs to have the SG ready communication standard, and if the heat pump has this standard, then it can be connected to our inverters. And I want to show you the benefit you get if you're doing this. You see here on the right hand side a schematic production curve of an inverter. So this is the gray area. You see there is one peak at noon, and then maybe a cloud is coming by, production is decreasing, and in the afternoon production is increasing again. The light red line is the energy demand of the heat pump, and as you see, the heat pump is connected via SG Ready to the Fronius load management, and so it gets this threshold of surplus when it is activated. In this case, the heat pump is activated when a surplus of around 3,300 kilowatt is there. Heat pump is activated, runs for a couple of hours, and then is deactivated again. And in the afternoon, the same happens. And as you see, the energy need of the heat pump is to a large extent covered by PV production. So again, this is helpful to increase self-sufficiency rate and to make the PV system more efficient and running more smoothly. Let me show you how this load management and battery management actually works. I will do this in Solar Start, so I will now connect to the inverter and show you directly what you can do. When you're connected to the inverter, you get to this surface here. In this case, I did not directly connect to the inverter. I used the inverter simulator.fronius.com. So this is a dummy surface of the Solar Start app. And for this purpose now it's totally enough. So this is the overview. Then you go to energy management, and in energy management you can click on load management. And I will start with the rules down here. You see you can set rules for the up to 4 loads you connect to the inverter. This, for example, let's say this is the pool pump, and the pool pump is activated as soon as there is a feed-in of at least 2000 watts. And it is turned off again if there is a consumption of 0, so if there is no surplus. And then you can set some additional options. Minimum duration per on signal. So if the pool pump is activated, then it should run at least 30 minutes. So even if surplus in this 30 minutes then decreases, it still runs 30 minutes. Maximum duration per day, even if there is more surplus, maximum 60 minutes this pool pump should run. Desired duration is 30 minutes per day, so this is also an option you can set. So it should run at least 30 minutes until 6 o'clock in the evening, even if there is no surplus. Save, and you could do this for all the other loads as well. Up here you can set priorities. So if there is surplus, at first the battery should be fed with surplus, then the load management, and then the own pilot. This is the order that we recommend. So first give surplus to the battery, then to load management, and at the very end to own pilot. This to load management, and then I want to show you battery management. You see here this option here on the left hand side, battery management. We click on this, and as you can see here, you can set various rules for your battery. This is also free on board, so this is nothing you have to pay for. This is automatically there if you're using a Fronius inverter. You can set minimum and maximum charging and discharging powers. Imagine you have a variable tariff. So there is cheap energy at night and electricity is more expensive during the day. So you want your battery to charge at night to use this the cheap night tariffs. So you set a minimum charging power of, let's say, 2000 watts at night from 1 in the morning until 4 in the morning. And then you can do the setting for various days. So we say this rule applies on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Add this rule and perfect. With battery management, you have various options. It can also be useful if there are feeding in limits. And as I said, with variable tariffs. Last but not least, I want to show you Solar.web. Solar.web is our monitoring and visualization tool. And all the devices I showed you in this webinar, the watt pilot, the ohm pilot, the batteries. Also possible to show various loads in Solar.web. All this data is gathered in one program, and this is Solar.web. For Solar.web, again, I want to show you directly the world of Solar.web in the program itself. You see here the production curve of a PV system of a colleague of mine. So you see this was in October last year. Supposedly it was a beautiful day. You see full production over the day, and you see various colors. The green color always stands for the battery. So this green area shows you the energy that is directed into the battery, and the green line is showing the state of charge of the battery. So the state of charge was almost 0 in the morning, and then battery gets charged, and it is at 100% at around 10 o'clock. The red area is always the own pilot, so when energy is directed to the own pilot, and the red line shows the water temperature. Violet is the color of the watt pilot. So obviously a car was connected to the grid in the afternoon of this day, and you see whether it is the green color, the red color, or the violet color, always the exact amount of surplus is directed into our devices. The gray area, this is the power that is fed into the grid, and we want this area to be as small as possible. So you could also say Fronius brings color into your life. The more of the devices you have, then the smaller this gray area will be, and the more color you will have in your PV production. We are coming to an end of this webinar. Let me sum up what I told you in the last couple of minutes. Our customers, they want to be green, they want to be independent, they want to save costs. Unfortunately, even when they install a PV system, they cannot realize those goals so easily. Fortunately, Fronius has the answer to those problems. Fronius is not just an inverter manufacturer, but we are producing also devices for all those other sectors, so that mobility sector and heating sector, and for example, can also be integrated into the PV system. The goal is always to increase self-sufficiency rate as much as possible. With our inverters, you can connect an on pilot and a watt pilot into the system. You can also connect batteries to our system that are highly effective, have a high degree of efficiency, and they also offer backup solutions. And not only this, also with our inverters comes free load and battery management that can be easily set in Solar Start. And all the data, all the devices are visualized in Solar.web. And as I said, Fronius brings color into your life. And you not only get all the solutions from out of one hand, you also get the support for all those solutions of one hand. And by you, I mean the installers as well as the end customers. We train installers in all those solutions, in battery solutions, in heating solutions, e-mobility solutions, one-stop service for all. So you get highly competent servicemen trained by us. And if the installer has a problem and needs support, or also if the end customer needs support, then they can contact Fronius as well and get, again, information for all those sectors out of one hand. Support is always local, and only trained electrical engineers are at our hotline. I hope this webinar was interesting for you. As always, the recording will be forwarded in the next days. If you like this webinar, please feel free to visit our YouTube channel. There you find other webinars and online trainings as well. And maybe you want one day come to Austria to visit us here at Wels, and then I'm very happy to welcome you in a face-to-face training. You can register for face-to-face trainings on our website. Thanks for watching and thanks for tuning in. I'm looking forward to see you next time. Bye bye.